Hello, this is Cinema Analytics. Today we're going to look at movies that were released within the last 60 days, starting after June 30th. We're going to take a quick look at the box office revenue, profits, and return on investment, that's ROI, of these movies. And once again, these are movies that were released after June 30th, 2018, so fairly recent films here. You may also want to look at my previous video where we looked at the box office revenue, profits, and ROI for the movies which came out in 2018. So that includes all the earlier movies like Incredibles 2, includes Deadpool, Solo, Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom. But here we're only going to look at movies which were released after June 30th. I hope that this will become a monthly routine where we look back at movies that were released within the past 60 days. So sometime early October, I should have another one of these videos where we're looking at movies that were released after July 31st. And that would include the bulk of movies that were released in August and September. So we'll go ahead and get started here, looking at the box office for the studios. Buena Vista, that's Disney, of course, is leading the studios with a little over 700 million in box office revenue. This is 301 million in domestic gross, and an additional 430 million in the for outside of the U.S. and North America. And we have the same for the other studios: Paramount, Sony, Universal, and Warner Brothers. Universal, of course, is the second leading studio in this time period. Again, we're only looking at movies that were released after June 30th, 2018. As far as the movies in that time frame, the highest grossing movie is Mission Impossible Fallout, with a little over 600 million. Ant-Man and the Wasp is the second leading film at the box office. And as you can see on both of these for Mission Impossible Fallout, as well as Ant-Man and the Wasp, that these movies have a higher take internationally than they are domestically. So we'll jump on over to revenue, and the studio picture looks pretty much the same as box office, with Disney leading the group, followed by Universal and Warner Brothers. And of course, the same for the movies also. Mission Impossible Fallout is leading, followed by Ant-Man and the Wasp. We'll quickly go to profits. For this time period, again after June 30th, 2018, for Disney, they're at the break-even point for these films. I believe the two movies that Disney released in that time frame, yes, Ant-Man and the Wasp and Disney's Christopher Robin. And for those two movies, they're both the cumulative sum of those movies gives them a break even, just below break even right now. And that's mostly because, for one, Christopher Robin is still pretty much in release. It's only been out for about 3 weeks, I believe. And so you're probably going to see this cross over the break even point for Disney when you're looking at both of those movies. Looking at Sony here, you can see that they have the highest profit at 150 million. And I also need to go ahead and point out that this profit includes ancillaries. The green dots here are the ancillaries. So this is the profit that is coming in from streaming, TV packages, Blu-ray sales, any type of revenue that's coming in after the theatrical release. And the blue points here or the profits or loss from theatrical release. So typically, especially with big budget films, you'll see a huge loss for the theatrical release, but then the ancillaries kick in, and that's how you end up with your profit. So once again, Sony is leading the studios here with a profit of about 150 million, and that's after ancillaries. Other studios that are performing well during this period are Paramount with about 78 million profit, and Warner Brothers with about 92 million profit. We can look at the films in this time frame to see which ones have become profitable, and the leading film here is going to be Hotel Transylvania 3 with a profit of about 165 million. You can see here that the film did make a small profit theatrically of about, if I can get it to pop up here, and I won't be able to, but it's about loses about 20 million on its theatrical run. And once you add in the profits from ancillaries, then it comes out to this 165 million. So good job there on that movie. We also have Ant-Man and the Wasp, and it has a profit of about 59 million. The ancillaries, of course, are very high. Theatrical loss of about 113 million, but it's going to be made up from the ancillary market for a total profit of about 172 million. And there's also a Mission Impossible Fallout, which right now still going pretty strong in theaters and has a profit of about 78 million. The first Purge also has a profit. It's about 64 million. It's, of course, helped by the fact that it turned a profit during its theatrical run. Movies that looks like they're going to lose profit. We have Skyscraper. Skyscraper came out mid-July. It's pretty much completed most of its run. That's going to be a pretty significant loss of about 130 million, and that includes ancillaries. You can see that the theatrical loss was huge, 182 million, and that the ancillaries really, won't be enough to try to offset the theatrical losses. So a total loss here of about 130 million for Skyscraper. We have the Meg. Well, the Meg is certainly still going very, very strong. So even though you have this theatrical loss here, it has already reached over into the profit level once you include ancillaries, and I expect this to increase the next time we look at it. It should have a much higher profit level. All right, we'll take a quick look at ROI, return on investment. Universal is leading the bunch for the movies in this time frame, followed by Warner Brothers. And we can take a look at the movies that bring in that return on investment. And The Purge is the film with the highest return on investment at 2.59. We also have Hotel Transylvania, which brought in a really good return on investment of 1.78. Other studios doing well: Sony, Screen Gems, Focus. Fox did not do very well during this time frame. The movie that they had released during this time frame is The Darkest Mind, and that's the only Fox film. Disney is a little bit below the break-even point, or it's a little bit below the return on investment of 1.0 that you would want to minimally reach. And again, the two movies in this time frame, Ant-Man and the Wasp and Christopher Robin, Keep in mind that Christopher Robin is still in theaters, so that return on investment should increase. Because we already know that Ant-Man and the Wasp is returning a profit, and it's just a matter of Christopher Robin earning a little bit more in the box office so that the profits can get up and this ROI for Disney can increase. So let's see. Some movies that will not have a good return on investment. Mile 22, Alpha. Even though they're recent releases, they have fallen very quickly as for in terms of box office. So that those two movies will not yield a return on investment that's over one. That's going to be a loss. Well, that's it for this video. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.